So, to set the scene, Jesus has been crucified, killed very publicly as a criminal, and now we read about his burial. Matthew 27, 57 to 61. As evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who had himself become a disciple of Jesus. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body, and Pilate ordered that it be given to him. Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and placed it in his own new tomb that he had cut out of the rock. He rolled a big stone in front of the entrance to the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there opposite the tomb. So this is what we call Holy Saturday. It's a day between, a day with nothing to celebrate, a day to remember. I can't imagine what it was like to be one of Jesus' friends. They'd expected so much, and they'd followed him, even leaving things behind so they could follow him. And yet, apparently, it had come to nothing. They'd just lost the one they thought was their saviour. Now it looked like he'd failed. But they loved him. Not because of what he could do. At this point, he couldn't do anything. They loved him because they knew him, because of who he was. So Jesus had been crucified as a criminal, and as such would normally have had a criminal's disposal for his body, not even a real burial. But we read of Joseph, a rich man, someone who had standing in the religious life of the time. He came to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. This was just a big sacrifice. It was a sacrifice of family prestige. He had a new tomb ready for the family. It was a sacrifice of social prestige. He was siding with the condemned man who'd upset both the religious rulers and the political leaders. It made him at risk from the Romans. It put him at risk from the Jews. But we also read of the Marys. These were poor women. They couldn't have done what Joseph did. They didn't have the resources or the position in society to do what he did. They did what they could, and that is okay. They watched. They honoured Jesus, and in another gospel we read that they brought spices to do what was the honouring thing for the body of someone that they loved. So we see that both ends of the social scale wanted to see Jesus honoured in death. He couldn't do anything for them, but they knew him and they loved him, so they wanted to honour him. And then we go straight on to Jesus' opponents. Matthew 27, 62 to 66. It says, the next day, the one after preparation day, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate. Sir, they said, we remember that while he was still alive, that deceiver said, after 3 days I will rise again. So give the order for the tomb to be made secure until the 3rd day. Otherwise his disciples may come and steal the body and tell the people that he has been raised from the dead. This last deception will be worse than the first. Take a guard, Pilate answered. Go, make the tomb as secure as you know how. So they went and made the tomb secure by putting a seal on the stone and posting the guard. There were 3 things then, we find, that were guarding the tomb. The first was a large stone, so there was a physical barrier. The second was a seal of authority. It was a structural or systemic barrier. And the third was the guards. It was a social and other people barrier. And I think that all of these things can still stop us coming to Jesus now and allowing us to get to know him. They can make us feel like we can't come to Jesus. So physical barriers, that busyness, our jobs, physical barriers like time or distance. There might be structural or systemic barriers for us today. We might feel like we won't fit in, either culturally or socially. We might think that other people fit in, but that we don't. The third one, the barrier of other people. There might be that embarrassment of being seen as coming to Jesus or of being wholeheartedly following Jesus. It might be pressure from other people. We might feel it's just not really worth it. We might feel that Jesus is still dead. Spoiler alert, he overcame death and is alive now. Or we might feel that Jesus wouldn't be interested in us or our struggles, that he wouldn't want to know us or spend time with us. But Jesus wants to know each and every one of us and loves us individually. The thing is, the ones who loved Jesus came to him even when everything seemed lost, even when those barriers were in place. We read how the day after the guards had been posted, the woman returned to the tomb. The poor women who'd followed Jesus openly and the rich, powerful man who had lots to lose socially came to Jesus even when all seemed lost. When it looked like death had won, they still wanted to honour him. So I suppose, do we allow barriers to get in the way of us knowing Jesus and loving him, to stop us from following him wholeheartedly? Do we dismiss God because he seems to have failed at what we expected him to do? Or do we get to know him and choose to follow him because of who he is, rather than because of what he can do for us? We can use Holy Saturday, we can use today to think about these things, rather than just rushing on to the celebration of Easter Day.